Good afternoon. The Senate Capital Investment Committee will come to order. Today is Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. And as you've probably heard in other committees, the chairs are just asking everyone to please follow decorum, and we want everyone to be safe and happy on this, our last day of winter. It's really going to be spring now, right? Yeah, really. Senator Kunesh, welcome to the Capital Investment Committee with Senate File 3684. And then I'm second. Okay. Hello. All right, go ahead and proceed.
All right, members, in front of you, I have Senate File 3684. This is the Mary C. Murphy Library Construction Grant Program modifications, appropriation, and bond issuance authorization. Thank you for hearing this bill. I think we all know how important libraries are to us as cornerstones of society, offering more than just a collection of books. Access to knowledge. It provides community spaces, especially in smaller rural communities where they don't have gathering places for everybody. Of course, they support education. As a former library media specialist, a public school library media specialist, I know the public libraries were very active in supporting students, all of my students and students of all age, by providing resources for research, study spaces, and tutoring programs, and certainly they play a role in academic achievement. They're also part of our preservation of culture because they archive historical documents and cultural artifacts, preserving a community heritage for future generations. They strive to provide equal access to information and resources, bridging gaps in education and technology, and they are welcome to everyone. Libraries are 100% free. You can borrow a book, and it doesn't cost you a penny to do that. And so here today, we have a request for library construction and renovation grants. It provides competitive matching capital investment grants to help fund renovation or new construction of public library buildings. This program originally created in 1994 to help libraries become accessible under the the Americans with Disability Act, and expanded in 2005 to allow for renovation and new construction. And today there are over 350 library buildings in Minnesota. Many of them need renovation. They need to expand, or they just need to be replaced. So local communities often have difficult time financing the entire cost of these projects, especially again in rural Minnesota. And so the way this program works, libraries can apply for grants to fund up to 50% of the cost of the project. Currently, the maximum grant is $1 million for general capital improvements, but this bill would raise the maximum grant to $2 million. And then the bill makes technical change, clarifying the community share needs to be non-state funding. The current language says local, and we want this changed so that community contribution can come from many different sources and erase any confusion over the word local. So the bill provides $10 million for library construction grants, and I guess the governor is recommending a $2 million amount for this grant. And so I hope that you will consider it, and I have just a couple of testifiers.
Senator Kunesh, before we take your testifier, we actually have the A1 amendment.
Excuse me, you're right.
Which does take out the appropriations. We'll have to keep that here in capital investment because I think the intention is to send this to the floor.
Okay, yep.
Right. So Senator Housley moves the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Kunesh, go ahead with your witnesses.
Okay. First of all, I have Karen Lemke. She is the director of Rochester Public Libraries.
All right.
Welcome, Ms. Lemke.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair Pappas and members of the committee. Thank you so much for having us here and talking about changes to this Mary C. Murphy Construction Grants Program. I am the library director at Rochester Public Library, also president-elect of the Minnesota Library Association. As you know, Rochester is the third largest city in the state, yet our library operates from a single downtown building constructed in 1995. Much has changed around us in Rochester, and a recent community study highlighted several urgent needs. One of the most pressing is improved accessibility, beginning with enlarging and replacing our original elevator. With 2 floors, that elevator is essential. The second floor of our building is home to programs and resources that are heavily used by our community, including our seed library. Last year, visitors borrowed more than 25,000 seed packets, promoting biodiversity and helping families grow their own food. The second floor also provides newly digitized access to the post-bulletin archives. This resource has already supported projects like Barbershop and Social Services' Still We Rise exhibit, helping uncover and preserve Rochester's Black history. Our Rochester Reading Champions program includes a resource room and 2 tutoring rooms on the second level of the library as well. This program pairs highly trained volunteers with under-resourced community members who are struggling to read. A student recently shared, "I really like this program because it helped me a lot. When I was in 1st grade, I never got my spelling words right. I always used to have to read little kid books. I didn't feel good about it, and sometimes other kids made fun of me. Now I read books all the time. I'm happy, and my mom is happy because I'm doing so much better at school. I can write letters and stories. I can understand story problems and my homework." Recent testing of this third grader found her now reading at a 6th grade level. Access to all of these services matter deeply, and without a reliable, accessible elevator, too many people are facing barriers. Elevator replacement is just one of several facility updates our community has identified as top priorities. We anticipate applying for a Mary C. Murphy construction grant, and we are asking for your support of Senate File 3684. Allowing matching funds to be non-state rather than strictly local will significantly improve our ability to meet the accessibility needs of our community. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Director Lemke. How long have you worked for libraries?
I have worked in libraries, my daughter's 18 years.
So do you remember when we actually had Library Day at the Capitol? And I think we even had a library subcommittee at one time. So Senator Kunesh, maybe we need to bring back Library Day.
Let's do that
I
again.
love it.
We do have Library Day where librarians from all walks of life come and we have hearings in education classes, committees as well. So, yep.
I missed that. Did you
Yeah.
have it already?
We did already, but wait a minute, you're not going to be here next year. Well, you can
I'll come
back
in as a library advocate.
Yes, 100%.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Yes, Senator Nelson. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank you, Senator Kunesh, for carrying this. Ms. Limcol, thank you so much for coming. And I just, cannot take off my reading specialist hat or former education chair hat and just know, I know this table knows the value of reading. I mean, we read a lot, but it really, reading's the key. It is the key to kids being able to be and do what they would like to do. And I'm going to tell you a story about, and this is why it's so important that we have these special services at hopefully all of our libraries, great books, but also people who work with kids with reading. Just this week, I had a constituent, highly successful man in our community, tell me about what happened in his life growing up and not being able to read well and how it impacted his life. Yeah. And how there was one person who felt that he could read and worked with him and taught him to read, and what a difference it made. And it just about makes me cry when I think about kids who go through life thinking they cannot read. That's just, shameful is the wrong word, but we should not allow that. We should do everything in our power to know that every one of our kids knows they can read and they feel confident as readers. And libraries are a big part of that, not just in the books and in the digital media, but in the librarians, the people that show children, get them excited about a particular book or author. And so I just want you to know how meaningful what you're doing is, and I'm hoping, Senator Kunesh, you're very successful as we move forward here. Thank you.
We should go down the row and talk about what we all are reading. I'm reading The Team of Rivals. I'm actually almost done, and I'm like on page 600 or something. Yeah, I'm supposed to be reading it to put me to sleep at night, but instead I'm reading for like an hour. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll all praise reading here on the committee. We have two more testifiers, Elizabeth Hoffman and Aaron Smith. Elizabeth's online. Are they both online? Yep. Yeah, okay. Elizabeth, why don't you continue?
Chair Pappas and members of the committee, I'm reading Dare to Lead by Brene Brown right now, and I really recommend it for everyone. My name is Elizabeth Hoffman, and I'm the Regional Public Library Director of the Plum Creek Library System, headquartered in Worthington, Minnesota. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the Mary C. Murphy Library Construction Grant Program. Libraries are some of the most important public spaces in our small and rural communities. They serve as gathering spaces for people of all ages, as well as provide access to information, early literacy services, and career-building opportunities. Across Minnesota, many communities are working to renovate or expand aging library buildings so they can continue to meeting those needs. A recent example is the project at the Redwood Falls Public Library. Their community is expanding and renovating the library to meet the needs for public meeting spaces. The total project will be around $4 million, and a $1 million state library construction grant is helping to make that project possible. That investment has helped leverage significant local support and has moved the project forward. At the same time, it illustrates the challenge many communities face today. Construction and material costs have increased significantly, and the current $1 million cap does not stretch as far as it once did. Increasing the cap to $2 million would help ensure the program continues to make a meaningful difference for communities planning these projects. We are also requesting a small change in the matching requirement from local funds to non-state funds. That would allow communities to combine local fundraising with other resources that may be available, including regional or federal programs, such as the IRRRB funds or USDA grants. Thank you for your time and consideration.
I did forget to ask if there were any questions. If not, well, let's move on to our third testifier, Aaron Smith, the Director of the Viking Library System. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. And I'll share that I am currently reading Startlement by Ada Limon. It's a book of selected poems by Ms. Limon. She is a U.S. Poet Laureate, so I'm really enjoying those.
Oh, that's fantastic.
My name is Aaron Smith. I'm the Director of the Viking Library System in Fergus Falls, and we provide public library services across 6 counties through our bookmobile and outreach programs, and we also support 11 member libraries. I'm here to share the impact of the Mary C. Murphy Library Construction Grant Program and why it's so important for our region. The average public library building in Minnesota is 52 years old. And in our region, the Thorson Memorial Library in Elbow Lake and the Fergus Falls Public Library have both benefited from the Library Construction Grant Program, helping to ensure their facilities can serve their communities for years to come. Currently, the Douglas County Library in Alexandria is planning a new building project. The project is estimated at approximately $18.5 million, and they're planning to seek library construction grant funding to help make that project a reality. Mark Granganet, who is a member of the Douglas County Library Steering Committee, has noted that while the committee is exploring multiple funding options, including fundraising and a possible quarter-cent local option sales tax, the committee recognizes that library construction grant funding will be critical to bringing the project across the finish line. Increasing the grant cap from $1 million to $2 million would enable growing communities like those in Lakes Country to build libraries that serve both full and part-time residents and visitors, supported in part by meaningful state bonding dollars. Across Minnesota, more than 45 public libraries have identified needs for repairs, expansion, or new construction, totaling more than $218 million. A request of $10 million in library construction grant funding would help more communities receive the state support that they need to modernize and expand these community facilities. Finally, changing the matching requirement to include any non-state dollars ensures that rural communities who may face more challenges in raising capital can leverage every possible funding source to strengthen their local libraries and their communities. Thank you for your time and consideration this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smith and Ms. Hoffman for testifying. Questions from the committee. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Mary Murphy Library Construction Grant Program today. I too am a product of the Fergus Falls Public Library and their summer reading program, and it's always fun when you go into libraries, and I think this is true across the state, you see that they serve people from all walks of life and all ages, and there's very few public institutions that can say that. I did just want to make a comment on some of the program modifications that are proposed in Senator Kunesh's bill. If we look at past bonding bills, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe in, for example, the bonding bill last year, there was, I think, less than $1 million for this program included. And I just worry that if we increase the cap, if we make changes that limit the local dollar amount, that the limited funds that we have had going into this program will actually touch fewer communities, not more. And so I think as we're looking at these program modifications, I think it would be a mistake to move forward with program modifications on local matches and on the max cap, unless there's a meaningful change to the amount that was being appropriated to the program. If we see the types of dollars in previous bonding bills go towards a program like this, that would could really constrict the number of communities that could have access to it. So I think this grant program has had a lot of success at getting projects jump-started and kind of being a base to getting projects also completed that have done a lot of local fundraising, such as the Fergus Falls Public Library project, which I believe was the largest grant recipient at the $1 million cap from this program. But we just have to balance that out with making sure that we're not restricting it to too few communities. Thank you.
Senator Kunesh, did you want to respond to that about raising the cap?
Well, I would love it if the cap was, if we could allocate more dollars to this, but as it was stated, you know, that $1 million doesn't go nearly as far as it used to go. And the cost of construction and all of that work has pretty much doubled. So raising this cap kind of has kept, let's say, in pace with the increasing cost of construction in Minnesota, and certainly consider that. I think, you know, when looking at this grant and then looking at all the requirements or the requests, the grantees would, you know, be able to take that into consideration and recognize that perhaps they could prorate it. And perhaps not everybody would get that full $2 million, but if it were possible, then they could go up to $2 million. And then recognizing those community matches with that higher level might kind of encourage people to do a little bit stronger fundraising or to donate to those libraries that were in need.
And I think that the 110 language is more typical of what we use, so non-state funds. I don't think it's so clear what local funds are, so it could include a foundation.
Yep.
You know, the local, you kind of think your city or your county, but in some ways they could be a private foundation that could provide that match, or it could be a federal earmark too that could provide it. Yeah, I think that the Hope Springs Eternal, that we would put more money into this program so that maybe once in a while some library would get that amount of $2 million, but probably, as Senator Kunesh said, it's much less likely it would be the smaller amounts.
Yeah.
Right. Any other comments from anybody on the committee? Would anyone like to make the motion? Senator Nelson will make the motion as amended, and it's going to finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move that Senate file, what's the number here? 3684 as amended be approved and sent to finance.
Senator Nelson moves that Senate File 3684 as amended be recommended to pass and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Is there any more discussion? Right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. You're on your way to finance.
Thank you so
And
much.
members, we actually took a vote on something in our committee. This is kind of unusual. I'm going to turn over the gavel to Senator Housley, and I have the next bill.
This is just going to, it's just being laid over. Just being laid over. Everything else is just being laid over. Okay. And there is a testifier online.
And Kevin?
Oh, okay. That Kevin is online.
Kevin Beardsley? Is he
Senator
online?
Pappas,
Oh, he's online, sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I was looking for my witness, and Jack just informed me he's online. Senate File 4124 is a very simple bill that simply strikes the reference to non-federal share and replace it with total cost. The existing language has proven difficult for our ports. This is a port development bill. It's proven difficult for them to work with and when they try to seek federal funds. We think this change will help incentivize ports to bring additional federal infrastructure dollars into Minnesota. MnDOT does not oppose this change. They were unaware of similar language in other MnDOT-run programs. I have with me today online Kevin Beardsley from the Duluth Seaway Port Authority, who will outline the impact of this change and highlight how the existing language has impacted a port development grant that Duluth was recently awarded.
thank you, Senator Pappas. Mr. Beardsley online, you are free to go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you, Senator Pappas. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Kevin Beardsley. I'm the Executive Director of Duluth Seaway Port Authority and a member of the Minnesota Ports Association. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with this committee again. As Senator Pappas mentioned, the members of the Minnesota Ports Association are advocating for a small but important change to the Port Development Assistance Program, which I'll refer to as PDAP going forward. The PDAP program historically has required a 20% local match when using these grant funds. This has and continues to work well on smaller projects where the only funding source is state dollars. The current language as written, however, poses some issues for larger projects when a port authority is seeking federal grant assistance. In these cases, the restriction on the use of PDAP dollars to no more than 80% of the non-federal share has resulted in available PDAP funding going unspent and inability to fully leverage the available federal dollars or critical infrastructure projects being scaled back or not pursued at all due to the insufficient port funds available. As I mentioned in this committee last week, ports are a critical hub in the state's transportation network, but are not funded the same way as roads and bridges. Since we rely heavily on grant dollars to upgrade and improve port infrastructure, we need the flexibility in the use of state dollars to compete for and leverage available federal dollars. To illustrate this, how the PDAP program works currently, Here's an example of a project and the limitations the current language imposes. Let's imagine a port authority has the need to reconstruct 2,000 feet of dock wall and complete other necessary infrastructure improvements. The total
Mr.
cost-
Beardsley,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you want to change your slide?
So this is the slide for the example project. Do you see that?
Okay, just this one?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
This one, nope, that's okay. This is the one I'm referring to right now. So the total cost of the project.
Mr. Beardsley, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We can only see your very first slide that says Minnesota Port Development is the PDAP.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that.
It's interesting he could do that remotely.
So do you see it now?
Nope.
No. Are we sharing the screen? Yeah. I'll just try it. We'll try and restart this quick.
Okay.
It's easier if I can show you guys the slides.
Yeah.
Let me shrink it down.
Still just the first one.
Okay.
There we go. Now we're on
Okay,
slide
so
3.
you guys
Okay,
see the
thanks.
Example project?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, great. Would you like me to restart then, or?
No, that's okay. We heard it.
Okay. So the Port Authority decides to pursue a federal grant for this project. In this case, it's a Port Development Infrastructure Program grant that requires a 20% non-federal match. After a previous legislative session that included a bonding bill, the Port Authority was awarded a $10 million PDAP grant for this project, which provided the match needed for the federal grant. Just as a side note, when we do go out for federal grants, the decision to pursue federal opportunities don't come lightly. We'll invest upwards of $250,000 to $500,000 in project readiness, defining the project scope, completing preliminary engineering design, and also hiring a grant writing team, just to position ourselves to apply for the federal grant. So we have quite a bit involved before we even move down that road. So, but under the current statute language, even though the Port Authority has been awarded $10 million in PDAP funds, only $8 million can be used in the project due to the non-federal match restriction. And so this leaves $2 million in awarded PDAP funds that will go unused. Now moving to an actual situation that we encountered at the Duluth Seaway Port Authority. You got to advance the next slides. No, that's not it, Jeff. Oh, it is. Did the slide advance?
Yes.
Okay. So we recently completed a dockwall project which was estimated to be about $11.8 million. We applied for a federal grant in 2019 and were awarded $7.5 million in federal funding. And then in 2020, we were awarded a $3.7 million grant in PDAP funding for the same project. When construction of the dock wall were completed in the spring of 25, we were happy to report that the project came in about 1.3 million under budget, but due to the non-federal match restrictions, we were able to only use 3.2 million of the 3.7 million in PDAP funds awarded. So this left us with roughly $500,000 of unexpected expenses for a project that was well managed and came in under budget. So in closing, we really want to express our appreciation for the PDAP program, and we really rely on this program for our capital investment. The funds have been invaluable for our critical infrastructure improvement at our terminal, and we just ask for the ability to use PDAP funds to the fullest extent possible when leveraging available federal funds on behalf of all of the members of the Minnesota Ports Association. I would also like to mention that last fall, as Senator Pappas stated, the Minnesota Ports Association discussed the need to amend the PDAP non-federal share restrictions with the MnDOT commissioner and her staff, and they were supportive of our proposed language change. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak with you today and entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Beardsley. Members, any questions? Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if Senator Pappas or any of our testifiers know how many requests or what dollar amount has been put forward for this program.
Senator Pappas.
What the governor has proposed, I think just a couple $1 million, the governor, in the governor's budget. And I don't think we did anything last year. So 23, though, I think we did a significant amount.
That is correct, Senator Pappas. So in the governor's budget is $4 million. 2023, we got 18 million. And currently the ask from the Minnesota Ports Association is 45 million.
Thank you, Mr. Beardsley. Mr. Olafson, did you have something to add?
Madam Chair, members, no, my numbers match what Mr. Beardsley just said.
Senator Rasmussen. Oh, Senator Pratt, to that point.
I missed the 45 million. It was kind of
Mr. Olafson.
muffled when he said what the source of the 45 million
Oh,
was.
Madam Chair, members, that's what was submitted by the Port Authorities.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd make the same point on this that we do in the libraries, because there is such a backlog of requests and different needs out there. I think we do have to look at how we can prioritize this, and the cap is one of those, and making sure that there's enough local resources being put towards these projects frees up resources to be used for other projects. So, and we had this a little bit when we were discussing limits on some water projects. We actually had some communities that were advocating for increasing the limits for grant amounts on water projects, and then they got what they asked for, and then they got bumped off the list because there wasn't enough money to go down and fund their project. And so I just, again, with the limited resources that historically we put towards this, I think this is a good investment. I think these are good projects, core infrastructure projects that I support. But if we are continuing to increase caps across all these projects, when the governor's proposing $4 million in his budget and there's more than $40 million in requests, I can bet that we're not going to have enough money to meet the requests out there, and we have to have some way of rationing it, and I think the caps are one method to do that.
Thank you, Senator Rasmussen. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And kind of along that line, I'm kind of concerned with the language change from non-federal to total cost. That seems, I think, to Senator Rasmussen's point, that increases the cap. But it also, in a way, takes some skin out of the game from the local governments to fund some of these port requests. And I'm wondering why that change is being made.
Senator Pappas.
Madam Chair and Senator Pratt, I don't believe that local governments do contribute to this at all. So it would be paid for, any kind of deficit or any match would be paid for by the fees that the ports charge people who are using their facilities. And, you know, Mr. Beardsley can kind of correct me if I'm wrong on that. So their only source of money is the fees they charge, a federal grant or a state grant.
Mr. Beardsley, do you want to address that?
Yes, Senator Pappas is correct. The Port Authority, if there were any deficits, we would pick that up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Senator Pratt.
Well, I share Senator Rasmussen's concern in that I think making this change from non-federal, right, which is the total amount that we locally, through whatever mechanism we have, fund these projects, to effectively the state maybe being able to pick up the entire, 80% of the entire cost is a concern. And fewer projects will be able to be completed. We see this in bonding all the time where we underallocate. We just can't afford all the projects that are out there, quite honestly. We have to pick and choose, and sometimes that means more of that burden falls off the state and onto others, and I think we have to seriously consider that. Are we looking at quantity, or are we looking at a few big ones? I don't even know how the list is then prioritized, how we choose, which port projects, which library projects, which, name your favorite program get chosen a lot of times in these various programs. But I am concerned with this change in language and change in increasing the total amount based on just based on this simple little language change.
Madam Chair.
Senator Pappas.
Madam Chair, maybe Mr. Beardsley could talk about how port projects are chosen, and then what it means when they, lose part of their grant. Does it go back to the federal government, or does it go into a general kind of port pool that could be used for other projects?
Thank you. Mr. Beardsley.
Yes, great question. So like what just happened with us last year, we came in under budget, so we did end up, we didn't expend or get reimbursed fully from the federal grants and or the state grants. So we ended up not expending $1 million on the federal grant because we came in under budget. And then because of this 80% non-federal requirement, we weren't able to get reimbursed from the Port Development Assistance Program either entirely. So to answer some of the questions there, this doesn't increase the state's exposure to more funds. If the port is granted, like in our case, $3.7 million, we didn't. So that was the grant that we were awarded, and we ended up only getting reimbursed $3.2 million of it. So it doesn't necessarily increase the state's dollars by this change.
Thank you. Senator Pappas.
So, Madam Chair, I think the second question will go back to a minute. So I think it's like they got this grant, they counted on getting this grant, and then after the fact, they found out that they were going to be $500,000 short. So we just wanted to have more clarity up front that if they count on getting so much from the state and from the federal government to complete their project, that they're able to do that. So I think it's just making it more clear. It's not really changing any kind of cap or anything. It's just making the language clear so that everyone knows what, when they apply for the grant, that they're actually going to get the money that they've been awarded. And then, Mr. Beardsley, we wanted to know how port projects are chosen.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. So we have the organization, the Minnesota Ports Association, are 5 members, and how the projects are ranked are determined by our meetings and the priority list that you all probably have, hopefully in front of you. So we have, each port has a project and cost, and so depending on what kind of funding we receive, we will disperse those funds to the appropriate projects as an organization.
Thank you. Senator Pratt, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to work through a little bit of math here, just so we understand the impact. If there's a $100 million project, let's say the feds kick in 10%, $10 million, right? Under current language, the state could contribute up to $72 million, 80% of the non-federal amount. We'd be kicking that up to about $80 million. If we were to look at a $100 million project, and let's say the feds were kicking in $30 million, about 30% of the project, then our 20% or our 80% would be against the 70 million, and the state would be on the hook for 56 million versus 80 million. So I think it's just important to understand what it's a simple little language change, but it has a big impact when you're looking at the total dollars in an individual project and the total dollars system-wide. And it's the math part that has me concerned.
Thank you. Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Pratt kind of went through the actual numbers, the example, but Senator Pappas, I honestly don't understand the gist of this. I mean, right now, the commissioner may provide assistance, state can provide up to 80% of the non-federal share, but why would we want to say they could only provide up to 80% of the total cost? I think that that does, typically we like to get more of a project funded from state sources other than our state general fund. And this bill goes in the exact opposite direction. It appears that it actually, this bill simply says that, well, the state is going to take on a greater share of funding for these projects that we share with the federal government. And I find that, I guess I just don't understand the reasoning for that, especially at a time when our state budget continues to have this structural budget deficit. And plus, of course, we're looking at all the many bonding projects that are going to come before this committee. I just don't understand why we would want to allow the ports to say the state of Minnesota is going to pay more than current law currently allows. So I'm missing the link, Senator Pappas. It just doesn't quite make sense to me.
Senator Pappas.
Madam Chair, I'd just like Mr. Beardsley to respond to that, and then I just request that we lay it over because we have more items on our agenda and we can have further discussion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Beardsley.
Thank you. So the federal grants that we're going for ports are 80-20, 80% federal, 20% local or state match. So the examples that were earlier, that's not possible. The federal grants are funded to 80%. So.
Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, but the legislation simply says that the commissioner may not provide any assistance under this chapter for up to 80% of the total cost. So the difference here isn't the 80% and the 20%, it's 80% of what are we allowing the match to be? And of course, we would like to maximize as much federal money as possible. So it seems to me that the bill is going in the opposite direction.
Thank you. Mr. Beardsley.
So in the example that we gave through, we were awarded the funds, and what all we're trying to say is once we're awarded a $10 million grant, that it's not limited to $8 million in reimbursement from PDAP when we have a $10 million grant through PDAP. That's what we're trying to say here. And I think it's getting confusing with the math because the federal grants are 80-20 for ports, and so is the PDAP funding as well.
Madam Chair, I agree with Senator Nelson. I think the language is confusing in the bill, so why don't we set it aside and work on it, because we're not providing 80% from the state, we're actually getting 80% from the feds, and I don't think the language is clear in that case.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Any final comments before we lay this over?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Senate File 4124 is laid over for possible inclusion. Next up, we have Senator Farnsworth with Senate File 3762. I haven't done it in so long.
Senator Farnsworth, welcome to the Capital Investment Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. Today I am presenting Senate File 3762, legislation to clarify the legislative intent regarding the water infrastructure funding cap administered by the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. I do have an author's amendment that places the bill in the form that I would like. This is an amendment requested by the Department of Health to make sure that, that this bill fits the narrow eligibility of this specific community.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the A1 amendment.
All those in favor of the author's A1 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. During the 2025 legislative session, the legislature passed a bipartisan bonding bill that increased the Water Infrastructure Fund cap from $5 million to $10 million. This change was supported by legislators from both parties and both chambers over several years. When we finally advanced the legislation last session, it was done with a very clear purpose to assist communities in undertaking large regional water infrastructure projects that could not close their funding gaps under the previous $5 million cap. One of the projects repeatedly referenced during discussions about this change over the past several years was the Aurora East Range Water Project, a regional system serving multiple communities on the East Range. My constituents and local leaders have long advocated for increasing the cap, knowing it would close the remaining funding gap for this critical project. However, late last year, we were informed that PFA had determined the increased $10 million cap would not apply to the Aurora project because the project was already in the PFA funding queue prior to June 15th, 2025. This determination came as a surprise to many of us who authored and supported this legislation. The interpretation seems to run contrary to the legislative intent. For nearly 4 years, communities on the East Range, led by the City of Aurora and its regional partners, advocated for increasing the WIF cap precisely because their project faced a funding gap that could not be addressed under the previous $5 million limit. When we asked our colleagues to support this change, the Aurora East Range Water Project was foremost in our minds, and its supporters testified in committee again and again. This project is not simply a local water system. It is a regional infrastructure investment that will serve multiple communities across the East Range. Despite significant state and federal investments already committed, the project still faces approximately $5 million funding gap. The gap is exactly the type of challenge the legislature intended to address when we raised the WIF cap to $10 million. The amended bill before you today simply clarifies that the increased cap applies to the Aurora East Range Water Project, consistent with the intent of the legislature when we passed the 2025 law. With me today to testify in support of this effort are Doug Greger, Mayor of Aurora and Chair of the East Range Water Board, and Dave Skelton, Treasurer of the East Range Water Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Greger, would you like to go first and introduce yourself? I'm not sure which one is Mayor Greger. All right. Thank you. And just introduce yourself for the tape and then proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Pappas and members of the committee. My name is Doug Greger, and I am the mayor of Aurora, but I think more significantly for these purposes, I'm also the chair of the East Range Joint Powers Water Board. And with me is Dave Skelton, who is our treasurer on the board, but significantly, I think he brings to the table the credentials of having been the director of the St. Louis County Public Works Department. So we're fortunate to have that kind of in-house expertise on this project. And as Senator has referred to there, this has been a decade-long project. And we are trying to, we first of all developed a new water source, and the ultimate objective is to provide that new drinking water of a much higher quality than the existing water to the 4 main communities of the East Range, and ultimately serving up to like 5,000 customers. And I certainly thank the members on the committee for any support they provided last year. As Senator Farnsworth has referred to, the legislation, which we had labored and appeared before so many committees on for so many years, was intended to take a more than decade-old cap on the WIF funds and increase it to $10 million, and that apparently struck a favorable note with you and your colleagues. And that cap was raised last session, and as Senator Farnsworth has indicated, it came as quite a surprise that we who had advocated for it and had a specific project in mind were not able to avail ourselves of that increased amount. So the remedial legislation is intended to further that further that apparent legislative intent as enshrined in that amendment last year. And to our knowledge, and to get to Senator Rasmussen's and Senator Pratt's concerns, it's not our impression that this is drawing any or posing any new financial challenges to the WIF program. It's intended, and I think the staff for that matter are on board and aware of the legislative history of this. And the intent is to simply enable the project to be eligible for a greater grant to the extent that our priority, standing, and our need satisfy the requirements of that very established program. So we did what might be reckless, but I think we thought in retrospect was a prudent move. In 2024, we knew we had a funding gap of about $5 million, but our costs kept rising each time we delayed to get more funding. And as a consequence, we bit the bullet, agreed to take out a $10 million loan on behalf of the communities, and now we're trying to gain some additional grant funds to reduce the capital or the principal on that loan to what would be an affordable level. And I think it's highly relevant to this whole discussion, the fact that Aurora is one of the poorest communities in this state. We have a median income of $33,000 per household. And I believe if you compare in your own districts, that's substantially less. Nevertheless, we've been successful in obtaining federal funds, state bond funds, IRRB funds. Believe me, we have left no stone unturned. And the project is actually scheduled to go online in June. And we are highly optimistic that the adjacent community of Hoyt Lakes will come on board with that project and probably go live in about 2028. So this request for your support today is to enable that first phase with Aurora and the town of White and the basic facility infrastructure to be paid for and be available. And the community is intensely grateful to Senator Farnsworth and Senator Housley for sponsoring this legislation. I hope Senator Rasmussen and Senator Pratt's concerns regarding impacts on financing, which certainly are appropriate, have been somewhat answered by those comments. And if you get into technical issues about the project, our treasurer, Dave Skelton, is probably much more capable than I, recovering history major, could possibly answer, but I'm otherwise willing to stand for any questions you do have, and I thank you for your attention and support.
Thank you, Mayor Gregor. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question on the handout here. You have noted that towards the total project cost, there's $21 million in grants that are committed to it. Could you give me a sense of what is included in the $21 million that's already been secured?
Gregor.
Yes, Madam Chair and Senator Rasmussen. Of that, we obtained a $6.5 million of federal CDS, congressionally designated spending for the project. We had $7.5 million of state bond funds, which portions of which were originally appropriated back in 2018. We've had $1 million of grant money from the Iron Range Resource and Rehabilitation Board. We were assured that we were eligible and more than eligible for $5 million of WIF funds, and the remaining balance was left to our community, which would normally be a very manageable amount, but for the poverty of the community. So what we're asking is, and to, and again, defer to the WIF staff and for making decisions of how to allocate their money. And we're simply seeking in this to try to ensure that we're at least eligible and in the pool for consideration of whatever additional grant monies that the staff there might determine to be appropriate.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering, do we have anyone from the Public Facilities Authority here today? Some questions.
Madam Chair, I'm not aware of anyone here.
Mr. Kolstad is here from the Department of Health. So do we want to hear from, before we bring up Mr. Kolstad, do we want to hear from Mr. Skelton? Or do you want to talk to Mr. Kolstad now? Okay. Mr. Skelton, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Madam Chair, so he's here to answer technical questions.
Okay.
He doesn't really have a statement.
All right, great. All right, then let's bring up Mr. Colston. Can you just introduce yourself for the committee, please?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair, representatives, or senators, sorry. I'm Chad Kolstad. I'm the Infrastructure Unit Supervisor at the Department of Health, and I'm here on behalf of Public Facilities Authority.
How are you doing with hiring a director at the PFA, by the way?
Madam Chair.
You've had bad luck there.
No, actually, I can say, I guess as of today, I was offered the acting executive director position starting March 25th. So.
Are you going to accept?
I have accepted.
Okay, great. Good, thank you so much.
Yes,
You're the
thank
one
you.
who knows it all now.
Yes, thank
all right, Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Kolstad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And look forward to hopefully working with you on these issues. Mr. Kolstad, could you just explain from your perspective why this project is capped at the $5 million and not at the $10 million?
Madam
Director
Chair.
Kolstad.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator. It's just kind of on timing. It's just kind of when the WIF increase took place. So typically, once the bill is signed, from that day forward is when we can actually have that cap increase take effect. This bill basically just allows the city of Aurora to go back to September 1st, 2024, because their project agreement was executed prior to June 15th. So this would allow us to give them additional WIF funds.
So the bill just was forward going and their project began before the bill was passed?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Kolstad. So just to make sure I understand, they already had a grant agreement signed at the $5 million, and that was awarded to them. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, our Senator, yes. It was already executed prior to June 15th.
Madam Chair,
Senator Rasmussen.
as a follow-up, are there any other projects that would be affected? Are there any other projects that would be affected in a similar situation where they hit the $5 million cap, signed a grant agreement, and would now be wanting to have a higher level?
Are you aware of that, Mr. Kolstad?
Madam Chair, yeah, Senator, yes. I talked to the PFA CFO, and we'd have to go back and recalculate. She thought about 40 projects to make a determination if they get increased cap. So if it went that route and the bill signed before the amendment, if it went forward without the amendment, we potentially could, I don't know how much WIF, we didn't get to go back and check how much we'd have to use to fund those prior projects, but take a big chunk out of the funding for the new projects that kind of we're moving forward this next construction season.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as a follow-up question, with the amendment that was adopted here, what impact would that have on who gets funded, who doesn't, the list? I just want to make sure that we understand all the implications of it.
Director Kolstad.
Madam Chair, Senator, for the most part, the way the language is written, it's just intended to go back and impact Aurora specifically. So that's why it's systems for consolidation that have received consolidation points on the project priority list.
Is that what the amendment does? It narrows it to just this project?
Yes,
East
Madam
Range
Chair.
Water Board.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Senator Nelson.
Madam Chair, that was my question exactly. How broad is this? And it looks like the amendment makes this only to this one project, because that is a very dangerous precedent. In fact, it seems counterintuitive for us to pass laws and then make them be retroactive. I don't know that we've done that before, and so that could be a very bad precedent to set. So I appreciate the amendment really scoping that down. Thank you.
Another approach would be for Senator Farnsworth to ask for this in the future bonding bill for the additional $5 million as an earmark, yeah. Senator Pratt.
Thank you. Madam President and Mayor, just a quick question. Had the cap not been lifted, how were you going to finance the project under the $5 million cap?
This is for Mayor Greger.
Madam Chair and Senator Pratt, through the sweat and blood of a very poor community, I guess would be the best way to put it. There's no question of the need for the project. It's advanced this far. Our water rates would almost double for our customers if we were to bear that additional amount of principal on the loan. So we thought we had proven our merits by managing to procure such an amazing array of supplemental funding, and it's a project that otherwise would be absolutely inconceivable for the East Range, and we're trying to bring it home with this in a way that would hopefully ensure that it's in a troubling financial times, a financially manageable amount for the water service users. And we would hope by later inclusion of Hoyt Lakes and the city of Biwabik that the overall impact of this will be to hold down water rates for a number of the communities there by virtue of spreading the overhead costs.
Mayor Greger, when you talked about double for an average family at a monthly rate, what is the water rate now, and what do you anticipate with the grant, and what do you anticipate without the additional money?
Yes, Madam Chair. We are currently at about a $40.25 water rate. The financial advisors for the project indicate that the rates would have to go up to like $78 per month, which I suspect in many of your own communities is not an extraordinary amount for just the water. But again, our ratepayer and water service users are unfortunately economically challenged in a very significant way, and an increase like that, coupled with all the other increases that taxpayers are bearing, is it possible? Yes. Is it desirable? No. And we felt that the amendment last year was vindication, essentially, of the efforts and the merits of the program. Yeah.
So just to clarify again, so it's currently $40 a month. Without additional state help, it would go to $78 a month?
Yes.
And with additional state help, would it stay stable?
Yeah, we are optimistic we can keep it stable, yes.
Okay. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mayor, just for context, your average or median income, whatever stat you might have, what is an average family, what does normal, regular family in your area bring in for income?
Mayor Greger, again.
Yes, Madam Chair, I tried to refer to that. It's my understanding that it's about $33,000 per household.
Any other questions from members? Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for coming down today. And I hope that you don't have any more snow on the way back. And then tomorrow it's going to be spring.
Thank you, Madam Chair. By the way, my book of the month is The Mini Forest Revolution by Hannah Lewis. Very interesting read if any of you are on the Natural Resources Committees.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'll have to make a note of that. The next bill on our agenda, oh, I'm sorry. That last bill is laid over for possible consideration. That was 3762 is amended. Thank you for reminding me. And Our next bill with Senator Housley, Senate File 3696. Senator Housley, welcome to that side of the table.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for hearing my bill, Senate File 3696. This would provide an extension to the City of Oak Park Heights to use the funds that the legislature appropriated in 2023 to assist with the transitioning of the site that currently is home to the Allen S. King plant. Yes, you remember. This energy plant accounts for a significant portion of the city's property tax base, and the loss of it as it retires in the coming years is going to create a huge challenge for the city as that property tax burden shifts to residents. The bill we passed in 2023 aimed to help the city transition this site so that they can regrow that tax base into the future, but they need a little more time to use it. This bill does not spend any new money, but extends a previous appropriation so that they can use it for its intended purpose. With me on behalf of the city is Councilmember Carly Johnson to share more, and also City Engineer Lee Mann, who's available for tech questions should the committee have any. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Ms. Johnson, and please proceed.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Pappas and members of this committee for hearing this bill, and thank you, Senator Housley, for authoring this legislation for our city. My name is Carly Johnson, and I'm a City Council member for the City of Oak Park Heights. And as Senator Housley mentioned, I am joined by our City Engineer, Lee Mann, to answer with any technical questions about the redevelopment of the King Plant site. Our small city of Oak Park Heights is home to 5,000 residents and the home of the Xcel Energy Allen S. King plant, a coal-fired power plant that has been in operation since 1958 and is scheduled for retirement in 2028. The plant closure presents a significant challenge to our city, as it makes up 27% of our city's net tax capacity, which will be a huge fiscal burden for our small city to absorb. In 2023, the legislature recognized this challenge, and we are extremely grateful for the funds allocated to our city to help with this transition of the site as we move into the future. However, Xcel Energy is still determining the future use of the site, so we have not been able to deploy the funds allocated in 2023. The plant's retirement is a large-scale process, so these funds remain critical to the transition. Thus, we respectfully request that the legislature grant an extension to our use of these funds so that we can use them for their intended purpose and help our community thrive into the future. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Ms. Johnson, so Xcel hasn't decided whether to sell it or not, and you're still anticipating that they will sell it to the city, potentially?
Xcel is still determining the future use of the site, which could include a possible sale of that property. Given the significant nature of it's our #1 taxpayer in Oak Park Heights. At the time I started in the council, it was 1/3 of our tax base. And so we're trying to do everything in our ability to preemptively address that tax impact. So yes, we are looking at possible sale of that property.
And then the language also involves pre-design. So you're working on possible public infrastructure that would support other uses of it. Are you working on ideas for what other use might be? It's interesting.
Yes, Chair. So in 2020, we actually had some public involvement and had an advisory committee looking at the different options for the King plant. Some of them included mixed use. The biggest and most critical issue with the redevelopment of the site is the existing water and sewer infrastructure on the site. It's well-based. It would not support redevelopment, and I would direct any of those more substantive questions to our city engineer to address. But we're really looking at how can we make the best use of that space for our city's long-term nature.
Is there any questions from members on the committee? Any closing comments? Senator Housley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for hearing this bill. I'm reading Frida McFadden and her Housemaid series. I'm on the 3rd book. So, no, that's it, Madam Chair. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Can I just say, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Mann, did you want to say anything that Councilmember Johnson didn't say because you came all the way down here.
Yes, did you? Please add your comments. Plenty of time.
Thank you, Senator Housley, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. I think Councilmember Johnson did a very good job of summarizing the issues, and certainly the infrastructure that needs to be brought to the site is a critical issue.
Senator Housley.
Madam Chair, thank you. One more thing, and we are having the governor's fishing opener on the St. Croix River, so anybody who wants to come out for it, you will be right in front of the Allen King plant when you're out there fishing. Come on out.
Senator
Sandy.
Housley, I've never been invited to the governor's fishing opener. Is the local legislator allowed to invite?
Madam Chair, I don't care if the local legislator is allowed to. I am inviting you to come on out and see the Allen King plant on the St.
That would be a great opportunity from the river.
It'll be
and
fun.
I actually love the St. Croix River.
All right, let's go. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm up for it. Okay, thank you. No questions from the committee. Then Senate File 3696 is laid over for possible inclusion in the capital investment bill. Thank you. And last on our agenda, I want to invite Commissioner Bob Jacobson and Director Drew Evans, Superintendent Drew Evans from the BCA, to join us and talk about the governor's recommendations.
Oh, there it goes. I got it. Okay.
Go ahead and proceed with your slideshow.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Pappas, members of the committee. I'm Bob Jacobson, Commissioner of Public Safety, and it's my honor to serve in that capacity. Thanks again for inviting us to be here to present our capital budget request for 2026. I have Superintendent Drew Evans is with me today as well. Just as we get started, just wanted to give you a reminder of some of your previous investments. We have began to use the State Emergency Operations Center. We moved in May of 2025. Unfortunately or tragically, the first use of that, or full use of that State Emergency Operations Center was in response to the June 14th homicide, murder of Speaker Hortman and her husband and the Hoffmans. But it did certainly provide some great use, and we've used it numerous times since then. Our staff has fully moved into that facility also as of May 2025. And it will continue and has continued to provide critical resources and space necessary to manage really any crisis and ensure effective collaboration. Finally, I just want to thank the committee for their support of the BCA Mankato lab project from last session. We broke ground on the new lab this past fall. The facility is expected to be complete by next year. So thank you for the support of these important public safety facilities that serve the entire state of Minnesota. And turning to that capital budget request for this year, the governor and the lieutenant governor have put forward a strong proposal to help address current issues and the future needs for public safety in the state of Minnesota. Our law enforcement divisions serve everywhere in Minnesota, and expanding the lab in Bemidji will help evidence turnaround time throughout the state of Minnesota. So with that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Drew Evans of the BCA to provide some more details. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Superintendent Evans, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Drew Evans, and I'm the superintendent of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. I would just like to affirm, as the commissioner noted, having purpose-driven, mission-built facilities are really important to the work and the mission that we carry out across Minnesota, as was evidenced in the new SEOC, and I can attest from being there, unfortunately, too much over the last 6 months, that it's vitally important we have those spaces to do the work that we do each and every day. And that's what brings us forward here as well. I want to thank you as well as the commissioner did for the support for our Mankato facility. That building is well underway. The couple pictures in your packet were a couple of weeks ago, and I just got some more today. The first floor is already coming together. Block is up. Steel is in place. We anticipate moving into that facility, which is a 55,000 square foot facility, in March of 2027, so just about a year from now. This project that's in front of you today, you might remember from last year, we've been putting these together as what we need for laboratory space for the next 10 to 20 years in the BCA. And we already operate a regional laboratory in Bemidji, but it's about a 27,000 square foot facility. This would nearly double that size to mirror the Mankato facility down there, adding about 27,000 square feet, as we noted, for 53,000 total. The total amount, I think it's a typo on this slide, is 46,833 in your packets. It'll be correct later in the slide. This is a rendering of what you'd be looking at. Last year, you did provide us authority to purchase a piece of land that we are finalizing right now from the city of Bemidji. As you're looking at that slide, the left hand of that slide would be basically a new building that we would build and then connect it to the existing building, which is on the right side of your facility, with some expansion in that for our investigative services. What's driving this for us is, frankly, we're just out of space. Our headquarters location was designed for 366 people. There's about 540, 550 people in that building right now, and laboratory space is our primary driver for this. We have added additional law enforcement personnel, and we house law enforcement personnel here, but as an example, we have a new violent crime reduction team. We house them about 2 miles north of the BCA in an old fire station we're able to repurpose. However, with the specialized equipment and these demands, we need to continue to ensure we have the space to do the examination that we need. As noted on this slide, we had about 5,000 items in that laboratory in 2003 and about 12,000 in 2024. Our controlled substance submissions have doubled since 2010 at that facility. Also, high demand for digital evidence examination. When I started at the BCA, we did very little digital evidence. We do it in every case we have. I'll show you a picture as we go on here where we've put our digital evidence lab in a closet in Bemidji, and we need to have a purpose-built facility for them, which is what we've done in Mankato. And our staffing's almost tripled in Bemidji since we opened this facility in 2001. We also operate a use of force investigations unit. We call it force investigations that we didn't have previously, and we want to house them in locations as much as possible where they are standalone, not co-housed with some of our law enforcement partners as we are across the state. And we're also pursuing law enforcement accreditation. Our laboratory has been accredited for a very long time. We want to do the same with our law enforcement, and we have our first visit to achieve that accreditation actually just next week, which you all as a legislature have supported. Some of the things, I won't go through all of these, but we're also looking to the future. Rapid DNA is really the future of DNA in some respects while preserving our really detailed analysis in that, but we need the right facilities to be able to do that. We also have expanded what we call NIBIN, or National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, to our Bemidji facility, which looks at cartridge casings recovered at crime scenes and firearms to collect those, and we'd like to be able to expand the use of that at this facility as well. And then also some of the audio video enhancements, and then again, I've already noted some of these others. Lastly, for this facility, on that rendering that's in your packet, the front of that facade is on the right hand. It has some glass now. That is not what that looks like today. We do regional training for our law enforcement. We have a room dedicated to that right now, but it is not nearly large enough for what we want to do. And we have a goal of getting 90% of law enforcement within 60 miles of a regional training facility, so they don't have to incur overnight lodging costs. They can go back and forth. They don't have to backfill as many shifts. And so that's part of the reason that we're looking to expand that facility and use this as a regional training hub to keep the costs down for our law enforcement partners, of which we train nearly 6,000 to 9,000 per year across Minnesota. Here's some examples in that laboratory. I thank some of you that I know you've been there on the bonding tours across Minnesota. They're cramped at this point in time simply in the lab space that we have. This is the way it is configured right now. My computer's not going with me. On the left-hand side of this slide, you can see this was designed to be a storage. We have no storage left in this facility because we've had to utilize spaces like this to do digital evidence. And keeping in your library theme of the day, that cubicle area there is supposed to be a library. It was then transitioned to a conference room as we meet with lawyers and other people that come to our facility, but we've had to turn it into cubicle space just because we're simply out of space in that location. I always want to note when we go through this, while this is a BCA facility, it is utilized daily by law enforcement from across the region and our criminal justice partners. This serves communities all across northern Minnesota. It isn't just a facility for the BCA, because our primary mission is to serve our criminal justice partners across the regions. And what we're doing with this and why we continue to pursue regionalization in Mankato and expanding in Bemidji is we gain efficiencies so we don't have to come back to you as readily for additional personnel to keep our turnaround times acceptable. It's much better, for example, the example I always use in Mankato, when we right now, if we have somebody going to testify in Waseca, they come out of the Twin Cities, that's a full day trip down and back to testify for a couple hours. Opening Mankato, they can go over, testify, get back, be productive with other tasks that they would have for the day. The same holds true in northern Minnesota at that facility. So we currently have about 44 staff at that location. As we have openings in headquarters, because we're so over capacity, we would fill those in Bemidji once we have that facility up and operating. This isn't asking for additional personnel. We would relocate those open positions to Bemidji to gain some space in Minnesota. Lastly, this is the timeline that we'd be looking at. The pre-design has been completed for a number of years for this facility. This ask, I should note again for the committee, is the design and construction costs. The design cost for this facility would be about $3.65 million, and then the rest would be in construction costs. And the construction, as noted, if the money were awarded in this cycle, would be beginning in 2027 with occupancy in September of 2028 in that particular project. And this is just, again, going over the costs, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I know for many of you with so many things on your plate, the criticality of this particular project is we're really out of space right now in the laboratory. Mankato is going to get filled as soon as we can put people in that position. And what we look at, we have a remarkable accuracy in predicting the trend lines for our various laboratories and evidence submission. And the concern is if we don't get this in the pipeline, when we need to come back to the legislature and add additional staffing to keep up and keep those very good turnaround times that we currently have, that we just simply wouldn't have space for our scientists to work in. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions of the committee, Madam Chair.
Superintendent Drew, can you remind me, in Mankato, is that a totally new building construction?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's a
Right.
brand new
So
construction.
your existing building, you're still operating under that while this is being constructed?
Yeah, Madam Chair, an excellent question. So we are having those staff in headquarters location as we bring them on, and there's some staff that still need to be added. That is a brand new facility in Mankato for that, and we will fill them as we have openings out of our headquarters location so that we won't backfill them, and headquarters will backfill in Mankato. And for Bemidji, this is designed, and that's part of why we sought to purchase that land, that will build that building when the funds are there, so there is no disruption at that time.
Right. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioner, Mr. Evans. I'm just kind of curious on the request. The commercial real estate property's been relatively soft. I just did a quick look. Vacancy rates are about 28% as of Q4 2025. It was interesting. I saw a quote that businesses are right-sizing, not expanding in the area. Have you looked at existing facilities and renovating them rather than building new?
Superintendent Drew.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Senator Pratt, it's an excellent question. And with the laboratory space in particular, we have the retrofitting because of the specialized nature of the HVAC, the redundant power supplies, the coolers and freezers have been determined in the previous, as we were looking through the pre-design for both Bemidji, but in particular Mankato, we looked at that. It did not have significant cost savings, and as this building is designed because of its specialized use to be a 50-year occupancy in that, and because we already own and operate Bemidji, when we looked there, it made more sense to have that for operational control. But we did look at that. I will tell you, when it comes to our law enforcement services, that's what we do. That's what we've done in other areas, and any additional personnel that we look at from a law enforcement that doesn't require such a specialized building, that is what we would be doing, and we would simply look for leasing costs to do it. It's the laboratory that's driving the specialized building request.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I understand that this is, you're looking to expand at the Bemidji site, but isn't it possible that this function could be relocated to another part of the state and utilize an existing facility?
Superintendent Drew.
Madam Chair and Senator Pratt, you know, again, when it comes to this particular facility, when we've looked at this before with laboratories, always happy to look at it again. It didn't have any significant cost savings, and this is being driven also by the caseload out of that Bemidji facility and the increases in there. But we're always open to looking at various approaches to do this. We want to do it in the most cost-effective manner possible, and previously this has been that approach with this lab.
Senator Hemmingson Yeager.
My career was in laboratory science before coming here, so I hope it's okay. I have a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so just if I can address Senator Pratt, I used to joke around in grad school that the only thing worse than a fire in a lab is having to move. So for that kind of context for you. I'm curious, how will the new Mankato facility impact the work being done in Bemidji and headquartered in St. Paul?
Superintendent Drew.
Madam Chair and Senator, good question. You know, the proximity with this one in particular to St. Paul is it's closer than Bemidji. Bemidji will largely maintain its current footprint, as you recall when you worked with us here at the BCA, is the counties that are serviced by Bemidji remain intact, and we anticipate they will. What we anticipate with Mankato is a picture of the big map of Minnesota. It's kind of the up towards the Alexandria down around, and that the Twin Cities metropolitan area will primarily be served by the headquarters location, but it will serve that southern Minnesota and then up along kind of the western portion. But we will move evidence back and forth. But Bemidji will remain largely as it is, and that's partly what's driving this. We still think we need this expansion to address the caseload in Bemidji that currently exists today.
Senator Hemmingson Yeager.
Do you think that will help alleviate some of the backlog challenges you're having?
Superintendent Drew.
Madam Chair and Senator, thank you for the question. We've made great progress. For the first time that in my career since I've been at the BCA, we don't have a significant backlog of any sort in the DNA laboratory, and we're making significant progress right now in drug chemistry, which both of these regional laboratories do service to have that capacity. There's a few that remain, will remain probably a challenge due to some staffing issues such as firearms because of the long turnaround or train up time that it takes us to get a scientist, but our highest throughput DNA and that are really in good shape at the moment, and it will help us keep that into the future. That's part of what this expansion is really looking to maintain, those good turnaround times.
Okay. So,
Senator Hemmingson Yeager.
thank you. So in kind of like the renovations and stuff, I guess I would kind of assume then you're prioritizing more the drug chemistry space over other laboratory sections?
Superintendent Drew.
Madam Chair and Senator, drug chemistry, firearms, and DNA, kind of our highest throughput laboratories, are what we anticipate continuing out of this Bemidji location. That's what we've looked at in Mankato, and then we'll have our first purpose-built digital multimedia evidence laboratory in Mankato as well. But those highest throughput labs, which we call for this committee, we call targeted service, where we have the most that we do really all over the state, and then some of those more specialized services such as impressions and materials, which are comparison, you know, tire tracks, et cetera, shoe prints, that we don't do as often. We'll maintain those out of our headquarters location for the whole state.
Anything else?
I warned you.
Go ahead, Hemmingson Yeager, Senator.
Thank you. So just kind of looking at your project rationale slide, it's no surprise to me that DNA analysis has increased fivefold. I mean, 20 years. We've had an amazing amount of technology getting faster and more accurate. And it sounds like, I'm assuming the BCA has adopted protocols to be able to respond to that.
Superintendent Drew.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Senator, yes, and so a few things, but it is related to this project that we're looking at. One, we've purchased high throughput robots that are operating now both in St. Paul and Bemidji, and will be down in Mankato processing up to, they have capability of processing 96 samples at a time, but we run 80 through them at any given time because of controls and a few other things. So that's one way of looking at this to reduce the number of personnel that we may need. But what is the future that we likely will be talking to you at some point in time as we really work through this out with the FBI and others is rapid DNA. Rapid DNA is DNA in 2 hours. They can be done in kiosks that can be put in BCA field offices that don't require specialized laboratory facility. However, our perspective, and as we're looking to how to address higher volumes of DNA, is that we feel that the quality control still is very important to be done by trained scientists, to be looking at the data as it's coming through, and then identifying when we need more specialized equipment to do that. So we don't anticipate a reduction and the number of scientists. We're hopeful as this technology comes online that we'll actually be able to maintain, we won't have to expand the number of scientists as quickly as we have these kiosks out in the field. But then there's also other specialized that you've maybe heard about. We call it FIG, Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy, that really should be pulled in. If you think the Golden State Killer situation where they are, where you look at various connections to familial connections with DNA, those are the areas that are highly specialized and we still need to look at within our laboratories that are currently being done in private practice. And so yes, we're looking at all that. It's probably a little bit longer answer, but there's a whole bunch of things going on in the field of DNA that really are related to this project and what we need to look at into the future to meet those needs and demands.
Cool. So does that impact like your number of
Senator
cases?
Himminson Yeager, that's all right. I had to say your name.
Thank you. So kind of going back, looking high level, like how have your number of cases per analyst kind of changed over the 20 years? It might be different across the discipline.
Superintendent.
Madam Chair and Senator, now you're testing my ability. That might be why you're doing this, seeing if I do this. No, what it has changed in terms of, I don't know, I mean, in each of the laboratories, you know, the one that always sticks out to me in drug chemistry still remains largely the same, about 400 per year, but the volume that comes in and actually the quantity seized has meant that we can do less cases, but we do higher volume. When it comes to the DNA technology, they can move about the same number of cases. It hasn't changed, you know, significantly, other than in some of those areas such as property crimes where they can process more items through the instrumentation. But still, at the end of the day, the collection protocols remain largely the same and what each of the scientists need to do and our quality controls that are in place from there. So the number of inputs and throughputs remain largely the same, but then there's some of these other technologies such as rapid and then some of these instrumentation that can actually increase that output.
Senator Hemingson Yeager, you're totally welcome to go have lunch with Superintendent Drew.
Or somebody who knows.
And pick his brain about all these things. Did you have more questions?
I can shorten it up.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and then just to kind of comment on like the number of samples, again, because we've been able to detect at lower and lower thresholds, we're getting a lot of things like touch DNA, you know, being able to swab the grip of a pistol to try to get DNA samples off of there. You know, we're looking at scanning technology to go through a plastic bag to see if fentanyl is in a drug sample, for example. My concern is I want to make sure that our lab scientists are also set up for success. And I have a lot of concerns with the drug chemistry and DNA and some stuff in St. Paul in particular with the turnover with scientists. So it takes about a year to train in a scientist. Do you know how much you're turning over scientists per year?
Superintendent Drew.
Madam Chair and Senator, I don't know the exact number right now. I've asked this question numerous times because there is a significant investment in our scientists as they're coming through the process. What I have been told is that it's in alignment with national turnover as we've queried other laboratories. However, it's always front of mind. Certainly in the past, and partly when you were there, they were looking at mountains of evidence that can be really challenging when you're looking at that, wanting to do great work. We hire very professional scientists who want to get to the bottom of that pile, and they never saw it. And that's part of why I just thank all of you for the continued support, because they are finally seeing the bottom of that pile. And DNA and drug chemistry has made great progress over the last 3 months in particular in what they're looking at. So I fully agree with you and appreciate that support and concern. There has been recently some in firearms, which is always most concerning to me because it's a 2-year training process. We've tried everything under the sun to make sure that we can get them through more quickly, and they just can't. But it is something that is front of mind all the time, and certainly we want to be a competitive marketplace for our scientists and keep each and every one of them as long as possible.
I just realized I've been saying Superintendent Drew, so now I'm going to say Senator Amanda.
Okay. So at one point I was actually tracking, since you brought up that I used to work there, and we were losing a scientist every 2 to 3 months. So that was deeply concerning to me as a scientist to see my fellow scientists leaving largely due to morale. It was high workflow, it was a lack of understanding from supervisors and leadership, and I just want to make sure, again, that we are supporting the scientists because we need to make sure that we have highly trained, fresh scientists that, you know, because happy employees are more productive. And I'm curious too, with this shift to a more high efficiency, high throughput kind of lab, it requires kind of a different skill set and a kind of a different way of looking at things. So I would encourage you and supervisors to kind of engage with your employees to see, are there scheduling changes that we can do? You know, if we can run the little instruments 24/7, you know, a scientist could feasibly load it up, let it run, and do the analysis, maybe not at the lab bench, but at a teleworking site, a cubicle site, or something like that. So I just want to make sure that we're setting up for success, and because, again, we need these scientists to make sure Minnesota is safe and we get better prosecutions with our samples.
Superintendent Evans, I think that with the new facilities, you should have a lot of happy employees.
Yeah, and I appreciate all that, and I completely agree.
Okay, any more questions? Then from the committee, then let's see. There's not going to be any committee on Thursday to allow those who celebrate Eid to celebrate. And we currently do not have plans for our next committee hearing, but members will be made aware as when we decide to meet and an agenda has been finalized. There being no business before the Senate Capital Investment Committee, we stand adjourned.